like in this life, all of us have similar 24 hours, right? And we nobody is even 28, 26, 24. You में 24 घंटा सबको मिलता है. And you are in that this 1 hour from 12 to 1. There are plenty of things you could have done, right? But you chose to come here and spend the time with me. For that, I'm very, very thankful to you. And I understand people who left have other things to do, which is very practical, so no problem at all. But thank you very much. So this presentation is all about open access collections. I'm not going to talk about what open access is and what kind of open access publishing is going on. How many of you know about open access collection? Quite a few, right? So basically free information available on the internet, right? So I'm not going to go more in detail about open access and how publishers charge you money and all that. चुप हो जाओ. मैंने सोचा वो बोल रहा मैं भी बोलती रहूँ. ठीक है? Okay. So let's talk about open access collections and what is the current scenario in American libraries. I work with open collections a lot, and there were several issues that I have come across, and I wanted to see how other libraries are handling that. So that's what this presentation is all about. Did I get that? Yeah. Oh, it's right here. Okay. So this is the agenda of this presentation. I'll just share some examples with you. I won't spend much time on that because it's all there, their numbers. And then we talk about some OA collection, open access collection, and what concerns might be there, and what we have done at HGC Library, and just the survey results and all that. And then, of course, some reference and documents, because I have saved a list of 88 open access collections on Google Docs that you can download. It gives you access to 50,000 free journals. So all that is there. It's basically just the stats, and everything right here is the live URL. And I mean, I could go into each link and show you what it means and all that stuff, but I think that these are basically numbers. You can look at these websites. You can see how open access is growing. You look here, right? You have 52,944 free journals. Sorry, I don't know that. Go back to the presentation, please. Yeah. So, and I think we all should be especially proud about this Directory of Open Access Journal, because it's maintained by us, Indian, most of the Indians. And in my survey, quite a few librarians noticed that if there is any full text problems and all that, you can write to the OAJ paper and they correct it very quickly. So we are very proud of that. And then you can see again this, it has 2,600 repositories and 2,000 million of free articles, free full text documents. These are just numbers. I just wanted to show you that how open access is growing. And the same thing here, you have Internet Archive that includes 430 billion web pages and 8.8 billion texts. And then you have this research paper in economics, and you have, there is a database of open access policies as well. So if you want to know what kind of policies are out there on open access, you can look at that. This one here, this one, go back. And you have all these papers and some statistics. The wonderful thing about this is that if you are writing an open access paper or journal, I got all this from a blog, which is maintained by a lady, and she works at Canada, and her blog is open to everyone. All these stats, graphics, and images, everything you can download. They are copyright free, and it gives you I downloaded this information 3 weeks back, and now if you go, these numbers will be different. So I have talked to her, and she's very happy that people are using her blog and all that. So that's the best part, that you can use this information anytime. There's no copyright problem with this. Now, how many of you have actually set up access to open access collection at your library? You have? How many do you have?
We just need links.
Quite a few. Okay. So let me talk about some concerns that you might see. First thing is that any open access collection might be a little bit confusing if it is like, from the same publisher you subscribe to. For example, if you are subscribing to the Science publisher, they have on their website, they have even your paid subscription as well as your open subscription. And open subscription, the minute they are kind of, for any reason, the publisher might move it from there to the paid subscription, and then you click on that open access and you won't get the full price. So that's a big problem. And sometimes no translations are available for international open access collection. The PDF files are in foreign language. Even the sign-on is on foreign language. So these are the problems. Image signatures are in foreign language. You have website issues, download time is a lot, especially from African countries and all that, because there are a lot of African countries that create open collection and more like digital libraries, and it will take a lot of time. And virus issues are there, pop blockers are there, these kind of problems you may come across. Why I'm telling you all this, because when I started working with, we subscribe to Single Solution database, Single Solution electronic resource management system. It has a knowledge base, and it has databases from all publishers, paid or non-paid, like open access and everything. So when I click on free resources, I get a list of all the open access collections. And it's up to me if I want to activate them, because we track these collections from the Single Solution electronic resource management system. The minute we use that, suppose I say I check mark against the database. The minute I say that I want to subscribe to it and all that, then I can store the contact information, license information, cost information, all that stuff I can store. And all the journals, suppose the database may have, say, thousands of journals. So all those marked records automatically get populated in my OPAP. So for paid subscriptions, we get those marked records. For open access also, Single Solution has 90% of Single Solution collections on open access, they provide you with marked records. Because you can create access to open access collection from anywhere. You can create a catalog or just like a e-journal page or whatever. But for that to be discoverable, it should be searchable. And if you just click it, if you just set it up on a website, then the student has to really know the name of that database, which is very highly unlikely, I would say. But if it is searchable from a catalog, like suppose the student is searching for some article and that particular full text comes up from that particular collection, full text is right there, article linker is right there. So that's what you have to think twice about, and you can create dime a dozen open access collection, but are they really searchable? Are they really discoverable? That should be your main concern. And for that, I had done a big analysis of all these open access collections. I made sure to see that they are trouble-free. And then only, I circulated a list to all the subject librarians, and once they approved, only then I set up access to these. Because in our library, subject librarians are the bosses. They are the people who decide in their subject what will be purchased, what will be, deleted, and how to set up access from which access point and all that. So they have the prime responsibility, and we respect that they are the subject experts, and we don't question what their decision is. They are given their money, they are free to decide which books they want to buy, and they do it according to the curriculum and program. But they are not questioned by. Of course, everybody has its own reason for selecting or deselecting something, but they are the people, who decide that this is what they want to either set up a trial for or want to purchase. With open access collection, government collection, you have to be very careful. They are very interesting because they have a lot of information. For example, if you go to Washington and American government website, President Obama's website, you can find all the government, whatever he's doing, where he's going, all that information there. But mark my words, this December, when on January 20th, the new president takes over, everything on that website will be down. They will decide what to keep up and what not to keep up. So government website, government documents, they are supposed to be there, but these websites are not reliable. That is why there are some software that are, people are using those software to take a snapshot of that particular website every day. So they know at which date what information is available. So government documents are a little bit dicey. They are not updated regularly, very bad. Like statistical aspects of United States, right now you can only find 2014, 15 and 16 data is not there. But some of the databases do provide that information. You have missing documents, you have shifting responsibilities, people change. So you have to be very careful with that. And one thing, like you may not come across this problem, but for me it was a problem because I activated 88 collections and our interlibrary loan is interconnected. In the sense, it is interconnected with not only our databases, our collection, it is also interconnected with other universities. So it's called a mediated program, you borrow it is called. So if a student is searching for a book and it's not available at our library, then they can write there, a link is there for Union Catalog. They can go into that catalog and see which other university has this book. And if they want to, or article for example, and if they want to get it on interlibrary loan, they have to just say, you borrow. There's a link like you borrow. You click on that and then you put in your ID number and then it says, okay, fine. It automatically populates what you want to borrow. And if it is a full text article, within 10 minutes you will have that, no, I wouldn't say 10 minutes, but within half an hour, 1 hour, you will get it in your email, full text article. But if it is a book, it may take about 2 days or so, but for article, it's very quick. So what was happening, I had activated 88 collections. There were some full text documents that were coming from these free resources, and they were breaking at that point. Like the system will say it is available, then the student would want, and then it will say, sorry, no full text available. And our ILL librarian was, kind of telling her about, because then if it says not available, she has to go look for it herself and make sure that it's really true. If not, most of the time, students will not know how to do that, and she will find the information. But in this case, she wasn't finding. So then automatically, because I'm the resource librarian, so she sent me an email that I'm having trouble with these full text articles. So I kind of told her that give me a report, and I wanted to see where it is breaking at which point. And that time I discovered that every time it was breaking, it was the same collection, coming again and again, and it was a free collection. So that is the problem I discovered, and then I immediately deactivated those 6 to 7 collections. I used to have 99, and now I have 88, and I have to go into serious solution and activate more. That now they have probably 300 free resources, so they are very good about it. So this may not be, if you are activating any open access collection, make sure that your centralized system will pick it up properly. Some of the collections are like data collection, they are being tested and the content is moved, so you have to make sure that it is a good collection. And PDFs in various languages, and it's problematic when publisher moves free journal, while we already talked about that. So download time is kind of more. Sometimes you have HTTP errors, and about information is kind of old, So these are like, when we went to school, and they taught us how to evaluate the reference books. And we had so many factors about and currency and all that stuff. Same way you evaluate these websites before setting up access to any open access collection. And sometimes, like those, they are like digitized collections, and they digitize newspapers, government documents, and they are like very tiny, minute, words are very small. So you might need special equipment like a magnifying glass and all that, so that also is a problem. Now let me talk about what we have done. We currently provide access to 88 collections available in Senior Solution Knowledge Base. There are more, but right now we have that many. And I have put up this list on my Google Doc, and Google has the presentation. She can send it to all of you, and you can download that list. And I have not put the URL in there because I did not have time. But if you bear with me, maybe another 20 days, I will go back and search the URL of this collection and put it there. Because they are in my Serial Solution database, I just have to go in there, It's a 2 hours work, but I was busy, so I didn't do that. But it has a name, and it also has how many full text journals are there. And that's where the list is. You can click on this link and see. What is happening now, in the beginning, like I was the one who was responsible for telling the subject librarian that these are the databases and would you like to set up access or not. But of late, what is happening, our subject librarians are the experts, like medical, finance, these, there are so many companies, they are very good about putting up their full text information, sort of lot of health resources are there, and a lot of like My Florida and all that stuff. So since I already told you that subject librarians are experts and they come up with some information. Just like a paid resource is evaluated, even a free resource is evaluated. So we have, if we have time, I can share with you my e-trial tips and all that. So we have a database team, 3 people, 4 people, 2 people. They select any database, they set up trial, and then they look at 4 or 5 points like navigation, content, currency, and cost and all that. So we have made it mandatory that any subject librarian who wants to set up access to a free resource also will have to evaluate that resource. And once they say that it's good, then we will set up access, even though it's not available in serious solution, because that was a big concern for us. You can do anything which is out there. There are so many things interesting out there, but there's a limit. You should not be just, getting tempted and setting up access to anything out there, because, internet resources, 5 years old can put up a website. So you have to be very careful. But now we have decided that subject librarians are expert, if they want it. And the way we handle it, I will talk about it a little bit more. And now we are using a hybrid approach to provide access to OA, open access collection. We get mark records, here's the solution. The minute I activate the database, if they have it, they will send it, because all open access collections do not have mark records. And mostly, according to Serious Solution, 90% of their collections do have mark records. Or if not the full mark records, they have the brief records that just gives you the title of the author and some other link for the full text. And then what happens is that the minute you activate a database in Serious Solution, it also provides A to Z or to a e-journal portal. You can search according to the journal and you can click on the database where it is available. And then you have a database locator. We indicate each OA collection with an open log icon. And also we have a database type category where we all the open access collections are listed. That way, if a student is on your database page and they can, it's like more helpful for discovery. Okay. Oh, sorry. Subject link guides. This is the best place, because we actually argued. At some point, when these databases were presented to electronic resource teams, we argued with them that how would anyone remember and how would they know that this is the database and all that. Subject guide is the best place, because this is your subject guide, your area. You can do whatever you want here. You can just list the books you think is important, databases and web resources, you put up there. But then, if the student doesn't know to go to that database, they will never discover it. So that we decided that we cannot get a bit rigid about that, because database locator is a place we don't want to overpopulate it, So that was the argument. But then we decided that subject librarian think it is a good source. So subject link guide is also another venue, and now we have it on the database locator also. So now, before I go into this OA survey results, I just gave you a little bit background, like what open access collection statistics are, how is open access collection going, and then what are the concerns, if at all you want to set up access to those resources that I have, and what you can do. And since this topic came up again and again at our place, that which databases are good and what we should do, and if it is not available in single solution, should we set up access? So I was like, I was curious that these are the things happening at our library. What is happening at other university libraries? How are they handling this problem? So I, I decided to do a research project, and I'm a member of the Electronic Resource Librarian listserv. Is anybody here member of that listserv? No. Is anybody here Electronic Resource Librarian? Who does electronic resources at your office?
It's in India, every means librarians will do everything like
So they,
yeah.
but who sets up your website? There must be a web designer, right? You have a web designer who creates your website and
Actually, we update our websites.
sorry.
We update our websites actually. The website will be created by some other party and then we will be updating our website.
Okay. You have a right to update the website. Okay. Why I asked you this question because I wanted to say, like how other libraries are kind of working with open access, because open access is the thing in the United States, Now, just differentiate. There are open access collections which are available for everyone, and then there are open access publishing. Where suppose I'm a publisher and I publish open access journal articles. To the public it is free, but as an author, I have to pay $3,000 to that publisher. So somebody somewhere pays for it. You may not pay as an end user. This article that got the best paper award at the conference that I presented this paper at one conference, I got the best paper award, but the same paper I had sent it to Ireland for before I was coming, I sent it to them. They accepted it, and then the registration fee is 500 euros. Okay, so I'm looking at it, and then I see registration fee for authors is 800 euros. And I'm like, why is it like that? Like, if you're an attendee, you are paying less money, but if you're an author, you are paying more money. I'm used to that kind of stuff where I'm an author, I am given 3 nights hotel stay and a flight, and I am given money to present, and here I'm paying. So, my paper is about open access. I'm talking about predatory publishing, and here is the predatory publishing wanting to publish my article. So I sat with my boss, and we both of us researched, and we saw that there is a list of predatory publishers who publish these kind of open access collections, and this particular society was mentioned in that. So I withdrew my paper from there because that's exactly what I'm teaching not to do, and I wouldn't be, a scapegoat for them. So I withdrew my paper from there, and I sent it to an Indian conference where it was accepted, and I presented, and I got the best paper. That's a different story. But what I mean to say is that I'm losing touch a little bit. So these are the two type of things. Right now we are talking about this open access collection where nobody has to pay. Some of the schools in university, big universities, they even have a fund. Like scholarship is a big thing in United States. Unless you publish articles, like no one even think that your person got your solve. Some of our professors will publish probably 15, 16 articles in one semester. They have a group of people, they work together. So publishing is big, and everybody, there is a concept like publish or perish. So people are very much into publishing, but nobody wants to pay that kind of money. So, but it is necessary to pay that kind of money, because if I want my article to be read by everyone for free, I would pay, but in this case, it was like $3,000. So I'm like, but at some of the schools, they have that kind of fund where you can apply and pay for it. So we are not talking about all that. We are just talking about open access collection that you can set up access at the library. I just gave you that information because I thought it is necessary to talk about this at this moment. So, okay. So I decided to do a research, and I kind of, whenever you do a research where you are involving human subjects, we have an institutional review board. We have to take their permission. Because you cannot just conduct a research on anyone and then publish results and all that. So you have to write a proposal. So I wrote that proposal, and in that you have to say which question you are asking. So I had 5 questions. I got the approval. I put up the survey on the ELL, Electronic Resource Librarian itself. I got the answers and then I analyzed. So that's what I'm going to tell you the results. And okay. So my first question was, do you have an open access selection policy that describes a selection process and steps to determine access points? And if yes, would you be willing to share with me? Because, I mean, nobody has a policy. So I wanted to see what other libraries are doing. And then, I will just read out the summary to you because it's important. All respondents mentioned having a comprehensive collection development policy for selecting general library resources, and only one respondent mentioned that they have a policy in which they have loose guidelines about selecting open access. They said that at this point it is ambiguous and we are not very clear about these, because once any library collections are based on your program, so you just cannot collect anything that you like. How many of you have a collection development policy? Okay. So in this, I have put up the survey results also in the Google Doc. There's a lot of links to collection development policies there. You can look at that and you can develop your own policies. I would recommend, if you don't have one, try to create one collection development policy, because it's like a guideline for you. So you can see that for this first question, they have comprehensive collection development policy, but no clear policy, and some loose guidelines are available. And then most of the librarians, just like us, choose to provide access only if it is available in their knowledge base. It's just like plain open access collection, setting up access from like a database page. It's not like as good, And also, they will not choose a collection if it is not indexable. Like it's only, if the journal, whichever journal is included in that collection, if it is indexed in any database, then that is a good criteria for them, because then it is discoverable, right? Discovery is a big point here. And most of the one or two libraries who had the collection development policy about open access, they clearly indicated that open access collection can be dropped anytime without any further notice. Because if you drop any database, you give a notice to your college that this sort of database we are dropping. And how do they know that next time if they come?
In access we don't, but with subscribed content we certainly do that.
But when we have a policy, the minute the database is dropped, we inform everybody, because otherwise they will not know. I send a cancellation announcement. So here they are saying that any time an open access database is dropped, there's nobody's response. Like they can say that we are not responsible for informing because it's not a paid resource. And they also did not have, and then this actually slide has 2 questions. And the second question that I had was, do you have a database and senior evaluation team that decides which open access collection is worth linking to the database locator page or any other access point like OPAC or e-journal portal? So since you don't have subject librarians most of the cases, do you have any evaluation collection database team that does this kind of work?
Usually we have literal access, and then we'll discuss with our faculty members how satisfied they are with the content, and thereafter we'll renew or subscribe to the content.
So I found out that even in US, like there is no specific team that is responsible for selecting OA collection. I mean, I can't say, we cannot generalize that all over US libraries this is happening, because it depends on the number of responses I got. So whatever responses I got, from that I could make out that librarian said, this is a new concept. So there is no, I mean, even at our library, we do not have a collection development team. So, we have subject librarians who work together. We do have reference and research instruction team that work together. They evaluate databases. They have small ad hoc teams, and they also sit together to renew and cancel this cancellation decision. So we do have something like that, but not as a collection development team. And then again, we said that distributed open access collection process is among subject librarians. And then they also prefer, to have an open access collection that gives them on record. So that was the reply from second question. And the third question again was, do you currently provide access to open access collection through libraries, BPR page, subject guides, or individual link guides? So again, you can see that the idea of mixing the paid resources and open access resources is not likable, because people think that, I mean, we are paying so much, and it's kind of confusing to people when they don't know the name, it's not discoverable. So that's why this idea is not really liked by the librarians. And again, some libraries follow the hybrid approach, and we have already spoken about it. And the preferred access points include the OPAC, the database locator page, A to Z journal, subject guides, lib guides, and PubMed link out feature. How many of you have this PubMed database? It's a medical database. It has full text. So when you click any article that is not available in this database, you can see a link out feature on the right hand side. So they use that. And then there is a browsing app. Have you heard about this app? Browsing. Like in the library, how we have furniture for the journals, and we put the main first issue on top, and then you lift it up, and all the old issues are kept inside. This browsing app features just like that. What happens is that when you are working with single solution, like suppose I use single solution database, and in that database, I track almost honestly, I would say 500 to 600 databases. And within those 600 databases, there are probably maybe about 600 or 700 full text articles, full text journals available. But they are, like one article may be available in 10 databases. So if we redo everything, then I would say that we have about 140,000 electronic journals. So what happens is that this browsing app works with single solution, and whatever we are subscribing, they will get a read list, just like you give it to Google Scholar. You give it to these people also, and they will upload it. And then when you go to the browsing app, everybody will be recognized according to the IP range method. All our access is according to IP range method and proxy server. So when they see it, it looks like just like a shelf. It just looks like a physical shelf. So you can even say, go inside and pick up all the databases. So it's like it's an app that gives free access to university faculty, students, and the papers, and to all the scholarly articles. It will not pick up the magazines like Time magazine or other magazines, but it will pick up only scholarly articles. So most of the librarians are using this app, and if any scholarly article is available through those free databases, it will show up in this app. Because free databases are dynamism, you can put up access everywhere, but are they discoverable? That's the question. And then again, discovery services. If you have like Expo Discovery and all that, you can activate your free open access collection through that if they have it, like in their knowledge base, and then it will give you full text through the article search. One of the librarians made a very interesting comment. She said, DBA record must be created for only the most critical resources, high on priority list, and for narrower focus, lib guides are the best place. So if you're working with open access collection, make sure that if it's like a very narrow subject, then perhaps it's not advisable to put it up on the main website. But you don't have subject guides or subject list, so then you can think about it, what way you want to put it up. Okay, so the fourth question was, do you have a staff member especially assigned to troubleshoot open access database issue? Why did I ask this question? You know that because there are a lot of times full text access is not available even if the database publisher says it's available. That happens even with paid resources. Sometimes you do come across, but then how much time you spend, you will generally what happens when a full text access is broken, then people realize that there is a person like Anjana working in the library. But as long as everything is working fine, no one knows what I'm doing. The minute something is broken, there will be 10,000 emails. So, you know what happens, the first point is that I get an email. Then what happens, you have to investigate, why it is broken. Whether, most of the time, the date, holding date will be wrong. Like it will say that we have it available from 2000 to now, but we have access only from 2008. So if that is the case, I go back in the civil solution and I fix the date. If it is not the case, sometimes what happens that the journal article is too new. It has not yet uploaded in the system. So then you write to the publisher, then you write to the vendor who you have subscribed to. And generally when I do the troubleshooting, my method is very detailed. I mean, I simply just, because when you are troubleshooting, you give little bit problem, you get some question back. You won't get proper answer. So to make sure that the person understands what is the problem, I generally take screenshots of the problem. Suppose I'm trying to access a database and it gives me an HTTP error and it has a message, I take a screenshot of that. And then I send it. So basically, then you follow up with the problem. You are like spending at least 4 or 5 hours to troubleshoot something. So when somebody is paying me like $100,000 or whatever salary is, like how much time I'm spending on troubleshooting and is it justified? So we have to provide a return of investment justification. All of you who are working with the management of business, you know what ROI means, right? And you pay someone how much money they are spending. There should be a way to calculate that and say, okay, we are spending so much money on this. So I wanted to know how many people are assigned to troubleshoot and how do you justify their time, because they are 40 hours and if they are like spending 2 hours every week, that's 8 hours a month for managing open access collection. This is worth your time. So this is what the answers I got. They do not have specific staff member assigned, and Office of e-Resource Librarian is the first place to troubleshoot for troubleshooting activities. And one of the librarians even went ahead and said that troubleshooting OA collection is considered to be a waste of time. Because they are not reliable, nobody is maintaining them, why should you spend time? If it's broken, it's broken. And that's my policy too. Because if it is open access collection, I mean, if I know the DOAJ, I will go to them, but otherwise I will say, hey, it's not available. Or if it's a collection that's repeatedly breaking, I will remove it. Because it's under my control, I remove it from single solution and that takes care of the problem. And first priority is troubleshooting activities always is for the paid resources and no account of time for troubleshooting open access activities maintained or justified. And AJ is the most preferred and reliable for open access collection. These are the results of the research, and when somebody presents this kind of answers to you, then the next time you work with that, you know what is happening and you are prepared that, hey, other people are doing that, so okay, this is what it is. Otherwise, you would be wondering, what am I doing wrong? So that's the benefit of listening from research report, One librarian even mentioned that it could be a full-time job and truly believe that it's a waste of time. Troubleshooting open access resources is rolled into general e-resources and serious troubleshooting. Okay, so now let me give you some references. I have written an article on open access environment, what you should do if you are looking for setting up access. So that article is there, citation is there, and second one is that potential list of predatories already open access publishers, and that's where I went when I was not sure. So I looked at my publisher that was asking me to pay 800 euros, and I found their name in there. And this is the blog that I was talking about, Morrison, Dramatic Growth of Open Access. This is the one that has full information available, all the chart and graph rates and everything, and you can download that. You can use it for your papers, everything. And here is the results, survey results on the Google Doc. I'll give you the summary. But over there, I have given you under each category, who said what and contact information and things and everything is there. So that's what is the open access presentation, and I'm open for questions. And I don't know how we are. Actually, I have to say that it has been very long timing. So I mean, I have. So Lalita can tell us where we are, and if you have questions, I do have one more presentation that I had created for something. If you're interested, I can talk about it. If not, I'm good. It's about the electronic trials. How many of you work with electronic trials? I just want to know. Do you have the practice of when we buy a database? We never buy a database unless and until we try it first. So, and we do almost 30 to 40 electronic trials every year. So we are very heavy into trials, and we have to set up process and strategies and all that. And I'm the one who does all that, so I kind of created an e-resource trial tips and all, wrote some articles about it. So that's what it is about. But if you are good without hearing to it, I'm fine.
No, we want to hear the
Want to hear? How are you doing on time?
We are already late for them. 15 minutes. I think another 15 minutes.
Are you interested in that? Okay, we can quickly run through this presentation today. Yeah. So you do work with e-resource trial, right? So whoever works with the e-resource trial, do you have a classes or you just do it? You have a classes? Password-based trial? Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could be the practice here, but we never do password-based trial. I can yeah. I mean, I would recommend doing identity-based because password, you also have the habit of saying the password, giving it to someone, and if they give it to someone, you are in trouble. Okay? So, any issues, this is what we'll talk about, issues and concerns and all that. So, I would say that if you're working with trials, review your current trial process. I mean, anything what you do, you should do a SWOT analysis, which is like strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. So what is the strength of your trial process? And if it is not working properly, what is the problem? And what you could do to improve it. So do that kind of analysis. And if it's working fine for you, don't just bother about it. Don't break it first. I mean, don't fix it what is not broken. If password trial works for you, you are a small library, perfectly all right. I mean, I'm not saying that it is something that total no, you should not do it. Nothing like that. Do what works for you. Okay? If you want to improve, then you should work with the people who are working on this. Work with them, do a brainstorming session. Always, like brainstorming session is like from my brain to your brain and you get ideas. So, it's always good to have a session. And be clear what you want to decide, what is your goal, and you develop a checklist so that you have a clear process. I have a checklist, and in that I start right from the beginning. Contact the publisher, contact the librarian, then subject librarian fixes the team. Then what happens? So I have a step-by-step checklist. And then always have a feedback process. If you're working with a team, we involve even faculty and students in our trial. Our feedback is online. They can give their feedback. We share that feedback on a shared drive. So develop a feedback process, and I mean, I'll give you the links to my feedback process and all that stuff. It could be paper-based, it could be online. I would prefer online because then nobody has to worry about it. So IP range authentication is the best option for me. It works. User ID and password-based possibilities are there. If it works for you, that's fine. And I do we do not do remote access trials. Our databases are all available with remote access, but our e-trials are only available on campus. We do not make it available, by remote access. And I generally, like in the beginning, we were involving our library systems. We were letting them know so and so product is being tried and set up the proxy and all. But then, we may or may not buy the product. So why increase anybody else's work, because we were doing almost 48 hours in a year. So we decided that we will let them know if it is necessary, if needed. You always should check up with the vendor whether they have any objection to you sharing the information with other people. And our minimal trial period is 4 weeks. I always build it 1 week in between, like 5 weeks I ask the vendor, because by the time I receive all the information and then I send it to systems department and then she sets up, she also needs some time. So we always build it 1 week time, and they're very good about it. They always help us. Minimal trial setup time is 1 week for me. When you are setting up trial, you should always ask the preferred trial date, because sometimes the faculty is not available, sometimes we have holidays. So always check the preferred trial date, that's very important. And easy access to trial and feedback location. What we do is, our database locator page, right there we have access on our trial page also. And right below we have the feedback option also, online feedback. Suppose these 3 people are evaluating a product. So whoever is the team leader, the feedback, trial feedback will go to that team leader and then overlap analysis is another thing that we do, and it's possible if you have, we have a single solution, as I told you, in that there is a feature called overlap analysis. So suppose you are trying to buy a new product and how unique it is compared to what you already have. And this system allows me to do that analysis. I can even evaluate, like probably analyze maybe hundreds of databases just with 4 clicks, and it will tell me the new product, how unique it is. It will tell you even to the granular details about, suppose I'm comparing 5 databases, Expo, Academic, and Yale, and whatever, So it will give me a list like, suppose Expo, one of the Expo database has 95 unique journals. It will give me the list of all those unique journals and why they are unique. And suppose it is just like partial overlap in the holding, it will give me that information as well. So very big analysis it gives me. And I can see a new product. If it's not unique, why should I buy it? Yeah, so that is overlap analysis that we conduct every time we, we don't do that when the product is being tried. But if the product is really good and people are interested, sometimes I do it even before the trial, like literature criticism online, we wanted to buy that, and so we kind of, saw how unique it is against all the other resources. So point I'm trying to make is that when you buy a new product, you must make sure that it is not something that's already available. Why waste your minimum resources? And then you communicate with the trial group leader, and what I do is, suppose I have a subject librarian who's asking me to do this trial, I will contact the vendor, I'll get the URL and all that, and then I will ask her to set up the trial group, and who is the group leader, and the product description, and everything I will ask her to write and give it to me, she or her or him. So they write it back to me and give it to me, and then I will sometimes set up the trial webinar, because most of the publishers will offer you the trial webinar. You can either you can sit up in a room like this and all of you can do together, or you can do it yourself. And then, I set up what was happening, one problem that I was facing is that I would set up a trial and then I would forget that this trial is over in 1 week or in 1 month. And then what happens is that trial is on the trial page and if people are trying to access it, it's breaking. So to avoid that problem, now I set up a outlook reminder for myself. The minute I set up a trial, after 4 weeks, I set up a reminder for myself, and I copy our web development librarian who is responsible for taking it down, and also the subject librarian. And then I set up another reminder after 15 days for feedback. Because publisher is very important, and they give you a trial, they give you their product for 4 weeks. They want to hear from you what you think about their product. Could it be improved, or are you going to buy it or not? So it's very important that you do get a feedback. So somebody gives you a feedback, you put it in your office, you tell the publisher, next time after 1 year, somebody else is asking you trial for the same product. And then you say, looks like I had already done it. And then you dig in your email. So to avoid all that, now what I have started doing is that I save each and every trial feedback, the original form, as well as in an Excel spreadsheet. So in any given year, whether I'm dead or alive, my libraries, librarian faculty, they can go to the shared drive and they can see in past 1 year or past 6 years what all are the products that we have tried and what all everybody said about the product, what was the final recommendation, whether it was approved or not. So any trial that gets approved, that goes and sits in another list that is called unmet curricular needs. We always maintain a list of unmet curricular needs because what happens is that that university funding, like every year when they are doing the budget and all that, they earmark so and so funds for so and so every activity. But during the end of the year, something may not have happened and they have surplus funds. So the university authorities will assign those funds to the department that need it most. So what happens is that during February of every year, we will start getting those one-time funds. So if you have like suddenly $300,000, you should know where you want to spend it. And this is how we keep the unmet curricular needs, and all our unmet curricular needs are ranked. So our reference, research, and instruction group meet together, and every semester they will rank all the projects. So the minute we have money, they look at the unmet curricular needs, they look at the feedback right there, they look at the final decision that the project is purchased. So we save so much money because during February to June, is the most busiest time for me because we get two types of funding, that can be spent on recurring, like subscription-based databases, and one would be one-time funds. So we have to know all that. Are we doing good on time?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is why, and I save all that information on the share drive. I have a trial folder. In that, I have subfolders like e-trials from so-and-so year to so-and-so year. So you only get a list. And every year, top this column is the year, and then you have the list of databases. And then I have another list, which is trial feedback. In that, and I will show you my trial feedback form. I have like how unique is the resource, how is the navigation, how is the content. So like 4 or 5 factors are there. And then we have ranking, extremely productive, average, and whatever, So 5 type of ranking is there. Based on that, I have that kind of spreadsheet, and where I put all that, like the librarian will give me the trial in the Word format, but I pick all that information and put it in an Excel spreadsheet, so we can sort it out, we can see who's tried it and all that stuff. It's a very good thing for me. Earlier, I didn't have that process, and that's why we kind of worked on that. And when the trial remover Outlook appointment comes up, everyone knows I don't have to send any emails and all that. Save the history on the shared drive. When you set a trial, you have to convey the ethical part of the trial because sometimes, the faculty unknowingly may use the database or may want to use the database for setting up an assignment because that assignment information is only in that new database. And during the coffee break, somebody was asking me that if we have new databases and there is no new information available, what do we do? So this is one way to find out new databases that have information, but it should be used only for the trial purpose. You have to convey the ethical part that it should not be clear expectation with the vendor, and it should not be, helping students to do their assignment or just to help patrons or not request to trial to help a faculty member to create assignment. Nobody wants to do this kind of things, but it happens, and without their knowledge. So you must make sure that you have told them that this is only for the trial purpose. And for us over there, I cannot request trial for a product twice in 6 months because they want to have a 6-month gap. So if we have tried a product in January, if we want to do it again, we have to wait until July or August. Most of the libraries, what they do is that they prioritize the list of trials that they want to do in any semester. And I kind of restricted it to 2 trials at a time. But I noticed that having 2 trials, only limitation at one time, like 1 month time, in the semester you have 3.5 months. So in 4 months, if you're doing only 2 concurrent trials, at the most you can do 8 trials. And then what happens is, that there is other librarian who's waiting. So she has to wait for at least 2 months to do her trial, So it was ending up in trial queues. And another thing is that we get a lot of sudden flush of funds, So we decided to increase the limit from 2 to 4. So I would say that you decide how it works fine for you. And it's a good idea to limit total number of trials in an academic year because if this activity can be really it can consume a lot of time. Like you have to work with the vendors, work with the system department, work with the librarian, set up the trial, feedback, because you will get hundreds of feedback if you are, and somebody has to analyze that feedback. So it's a big time consuming activity, and you see what you are doing. I mean, like you make sure that you can handle the work. And then you have trial deadline according to the financial year, because earlier, like our financial year ends in July, and we were getting the money sometime in March or April. But now they have set up another deadline. Sometime in January we are getting the information. So I also move my trial deadlines accordingly. And then it's a good idea to set up, database and serial evaluation team. And we never had, again, as I told you in the earlier session, that we had like about 6 to 7 hour subject librarian. So what was happening that when I set up a trial, I would send an email to everybody, hey, so-and-so is available, and that's it. And then what would happen, it was a joint responsibility. Nobody knew who was working with it. And then the month is over, people have not looked at it. Oh, nobody knows that this is my job. So I decided that this is not a good idea to open the trial to all. Trial is open to all, but few people are responsible. So now what we have is directly maximum 3 librarians and 1 faculty member, and then it's on the student website, so they can do whoever wants, not student website, our database locator website. So we have a trial group for each and every product. So now that particular group of 2 or 3 people is responsible and it works better. We do not do any trial during the holiday season. Come December, whole America shuts down. I mean, it's an overstatement, but what I mean to say is that 3rd or 4th of December, our classes get over, exams are over, and then it's all like quiet, People, faculty, just 9-month faculty, they will just take a holiday break. And library is always open, so we are always there, 24, we are not 24 hours, but during exam we are. And holiday season till 24th, Christmas time, So that's not a good time to do any trial or any productive activity, I would say. So my question is that, are these realistic to you? They are realistic to me. This is my information, my research, or whatever, the summary that I'm sharing with you. If you're working with trials, look at all this. And this is not only based on my experience. I have done a literature search and I've attended a lot of sessions at Electronic Resource Librarian Conference. So it's a result of all that. And these are the references. And these are the documents. You have sample trial feedback form paper-based, sample trial feedback form online. And this is trial registry document, and this is the checklist, trial checklist. I have given this information to Hiro, and she has a list of all of you who are supposed to be here today for. And Hiro, please feel free to send this information to all, and I have no problem. This is all copyright-free information, and you can copy all this stuff without any problem. I mean, my feedback form, my online feedback form is all good. And if you want to see, just click on the feedback form paper, please. First one. So this is the simple paper-based form, Okay, you can go back and click again.
Okay.
You can go to PowerPoint right here and click on that link again. And scroll down, please. Oh, okay. It should actually bring up. Anyway, so
Got it.
see here, just scroll down. That's okay. You don't have to worry about that. So see, this is how it is. Overall quality of the product, search interface, content relevancy, navigation, and feedback. And then it goes into these details, that how unique it is, and programs that will support, and you have key benefits, and you have the purchase recommendation and how long that needs and all. So it's a simple paper-based form, and if you go back to the PowerPoint and click on the second link, please, this time. Oh no, actually, no worry about that. This one. He's good. So this is how I keep, everything that is in the Word format, it comes here in the Excel spreadsheet format. It's a sorted, you can sort this list. Actually, for you, just one or two examples I have given, not the complete form. See here, these are the criteria, effective, and then the unique content. Go back to the PowerPoint, please. Last one, please. This is the checklist. You can see here everybody is supposed to do what the full, first is the subject librarian, and then make trial request. And if you scroll up, you can see it's all everything. And up and down, I always confuse. So electronic resource librarian, what are my duties? And then go up. Keep on scrolling. So communicate, like it's a step-by-step trial checklist process. Please feel free to copy it, use it, whatever, no problem. I'm open to questions now, if you have any. No question. Everyone wants to go back to work? Okay. In my camp.
Thank you so much for it's a great website and getting all the contents, whatever have been delivered by Ms. Anjana Bhatt. It's a pleasure to have her here. And we have learned so many things, understood so many activities, the kind of work they do there, everything. And so myself, you ma'am, explained it very nicely.
I'm happy that I'm
And,
here.
and though every program
Ready?
Hey, Daddy. One.
आज वो शेयर कर लेते हैं